What's up, Metro Manila? Okay, so what you're seeing on the screen is a map of rationalized bus routes for Metro Manila. Yes, this is what we've been clamoring for a long time. Admit it, we're all guilty of saying things like we need to improve our public transport or our bus system needs a change. Well, here it is. I know it sounds bad, but this COVID pandemic has actually given us a little window of opportunity to reset everything. And now we might be able to finally do it. It's better late than never. Okay, so here are my 12 reactions on this new Metro Manila rationalized bus transit map. Okay, so everyone has their own take on what's wrong with the current city bus system. And to illustrate this, let's go no further than our main thoroughfare, EDSA. Imagine this. You can take a bus from Baclaran in the south to somewhere in the north, say Monumento, or vice versa from Navotas to MOA, or from Letre to Alabang, or even from Fairview in the northeast to Pasita Complex way south. And what's the common denominator here? EDSA, right? Too many lines pass through EDSA. From north to south, northeast, southwest, any combination you can think of, they just mix and match the endpoints, but still they overlap on EDSA. On the other hand, and this brings me to my next point, other major roads do not have bus lines. Unlike the congested EDSA, C5 has no buses. For some reason, C5 has long been designated as a private vehicles only thoroughfare, although there are some jeeps and FXs on C5. But just ask anyone, commuting on C5 is much different from EDSA. No proper dispatching. On EDSA, buses muscle each other out at the bus stops. When they are able to get enough space, their tendency is to wait as long as possible to load passengers. This jockeying for position and waiting is what causes bottlenecks on some stretches of EDSA. Fact is, there is no system to properly schedule when buses arrive, leave, and to determine the space in between buses. It's truly every bus for himself, because behind the wheel is a bus driver who wants to get as many passengers as he can. Another long overdue change is the removal of the Pasay and Cubao terminals. Now, this refers to the provincial bus system, a system on top of the city buses. Buses originating from the province need to have a terminal in the city, and currently they stop in Cubao and Pasay. I guess it worked before when Cubao and Pasay were considered outskirts, but not anymore. Now these terminals are in the midst of EDSA. The government has been trying to push the provincial terminals outside the city into what they call the integrated terminals. Here, the provincial buses must stop and passengers have to transfer to get into the city. So far, only the one in the southwest has been completed. This is what we call the PITX. The north and south ITXs have not been constructed yet. I'll show you later how this new rationalized bus routes will make use of the network of ITXs. Outdated operations. Under the Public Transport Modernization Program, the government has been asking bus companies to upgrade their buses. This is to adopt the modern bus design with low floor, GPS, aircon, Wi-Fi, low emissions. Actually, some buses have already done this. But more than this, the government has been encouraging bus companies to consolidate, to form conglomerates or cooperatives, and to rationalize the routes among themselves. But of course, there's so much resistance and they have failed to do so. Now it looks like the government will be forced to do it for them. Instead of having the 90 plus bus companies plying EDSA, these companies will be distributed among the many new lines. Which brings us back to our main topic, the new routes. As we can see, the routes still follow the major corridors. EDSA, Commonwealth, Quezon Ave, Taft Avenue, Ortigas Avenue, Magsaysay Boulevard, Shaw Boulevard, MacArthur, and Lex S. Lex. These are our traditional bus corridors. And of course, the traditional origin and destination points are still there. But then, we see new lines, such as buses on Ross Boulevard, C5, Kalayaan Marcos Highway. These are previously unserviced corridors that have bus lines now. And as much as possible, they have limited it to one line per corridor. There are 13 new lines identified, and it has been spread evenly across Metro Manila. This is what the government is offering to the EDSA bus companies to disperse, to choose a new line, and they will enjoy exclusivity on that line. But let's focus on the EDSA line, which here is labeled the EDSA Carousel. One of the most drastic changes is that EDSA is serviced by only one line, the EDSA Carousel. Previous lines that fed into EDSA have been cut short, and people need to transfer in order to traverse EDSA. The endpoints of this EDSA line are Monumento and PITX. And as I mentioned earlier, here is where we see the significance of the integrated terminal. PITX will be used as the dispatching point for the EDSA Carousel. Buses will leave PITX according to a certain schedule, and as the name connotes, buses will go around and around, one after the other, like a carousel. So we can expect a shorter headway in between buses. Now, how does this compare with other bus systems worldwide? Well, still not exactly like Hong Kong or Singapore, but I don't know, maybe it's a bit closer now. In general, the routes follow straight lines. Passengers need to transfer when going to another line, and lines do not snake around the city like we had before. And certainly, they do not converge so many lines into one corridor like we currently have on EDSA. Now, one implication of this new system is the need for good transfer and waiting facilities. Let's zoom in again on EDSA. If one is coming from Ortigas and needs to go to Makati, you'll need to transfer at EDSA Ortigas. But we all know that Ortigas Ilalim is not exactly the ideal area for transferring. This is the same for EDSA Ayala, EDSA Cubao, East Avenue, Balintawak, and EDSA Taft. If you transfer at these points, you're unprotected, exposed to the elements, and this is something that the government has to address. Although some points in this map already have good facilities like Market BGC. I've also heard the OTR say in one forum that they will use the existing MRT stations. So I wonder how people will transfer in those areas without an MRT station. Some walking required. Okay, expect some inconveniences in the way this is designed, but I guess it's dictated by the actual road condition. For example, you will notice that there is no interchange at EDSA Kalayaan. That's because the Kalayaan buses will take the flyover over EDSA and straight into Buendia. If you want to transfer from a Kalayaan bus to an EDSA bus, you will need to get down before the flyover and walk. But then again, that's how the road was designed in this area, so there's no choice. We see the same situation at the intersection of C5 and Commonwealth. Another major comment is that some corridors still do not have bus lines. You can take a look at C6 Highway, which is a road that's almost done. There's some traffic there, so perhaps government could have put a bus line here. Also, C2 and C3 are existing roads, perhaps buses could have been assigned here. The good thing is, this type of layout is very modular and routes can be added in the future. And finally, and this is some good news for some people, the P2P bus system will remain. Those from major residential communities like North EDSA, Katipunan, Eastwood, Masinag and Antipolo, Cainta, Alabang, Noveleta, Dasmariñas, those needing to go to the CBDs like Ayala, Makati, there will still be the option of direct non-stop buses. And that wraps up my video. In my next video, I will try to draw these lines on a Google map so we will see exactly where the lines pass. I'll see you, Metro Manila.